Hey, good morning and happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for making the time to watch this replay. Today, I want to ask you, when people encounter you, especially online and social media, are you hiding your expertise? I want to talk about that today, and I want to share with you why it's important to show up as an expert every single time and how to make it really easy for people to instantly recognize you as the expert that you are. Now, for those of you who don't know me or don't know me well, my name is Carrie Price. I'm a brand messaging coach, helping ambitious service-based business owners find and own the words to stand out, be heard, and make your message roar. And so the question today, again, is, are you hiding your expertise? Now, we're going to talk mostly about social media today. And look, I know the whole point of social media is to be social, to build relationships. But when you are using social media for business, it's about establishing your expertise and credibility. Hey, Sierra. Oh, thank you so much for joining me from the airport. I hope you have safe travels today. So I want to make sure that when you are using social media for business, that you are showing up as the expert every single time. Now, you might be using social media like Facebook to try and let people get to know you better, right? We're about building that know, like, and trust. So you may be engaging in other people's Facebook groups. You may be doing Facebook Lives in those groups on your own business page, really trying to communicate your message, right? And by the way, Facebook Lives are an excellent way to share your message and really establish your expertise. So if you're not doing that already, I did a whole series in August on leveraging Facebook Live, everything to think about before, during, and after your live. And then I just launched a cheat sheet with all of my best tips for that. Let me drop that in the comments really quick for you so you can go grab that, grab the cheat sheet, and you'll get all my best tips. Okay, but anyway, I digress. So while you're doing all of that, while you're engaging in Facebook groups and you're putting out your own content, the question is, are you delivering a consistent and reliable message that sets you up as an expert? And I want to first talk about why that's important. Hey, Bernadette, so great to have you join me live. Thank you so much for being here. I want to first talk about why it's so important to show up with a reliable, consistent message. People are inundated with information, right? And they're out there building their own relationships and making connections. And when they encounter you, whether it's the first time they've seen you, the second time, the 10th time, you're building your brand. You're building your reputation, what it is that they think about you. And every single time that somebody encounters you, you want to make sure that you are reinforcing that message. And it takes, on average, 7 to 10 interactions that somebody might have with you and your message, the content that you're putting out there, before things really start to sink in. Now, you can accelerate that when you make your message roar and you really have a strong messaging foundation. But on average, it's going to take 7 to 10 interactions with you or more, right? And so you can't waste those opportunities when people are encountering you, not making every one of those impressions and those interactions count. Right? You need to make sure that every time somebody encounters you, they know exactly what your area of expertise is. Because if you don't, if sometimes you engage in Facebook groups and you're talking about certain things, and then other times you talk about other things, people might get confused. They don't really know what it is that you do and what you're an expert in. And we all know that confused people don't buy, right? When people have a need and they are looking for an expert, you want to make sure that they think of you, that you are top of mind. So I've talked about this before. You hear a lot of people share tips like when you're engaging in other Facebook groups and you're looking for posts to interact with and comments, places where you can leave comments, focus your attention on those areas that are within your area of expertise. Now, again, that all depends on your purpose for being in that group. If you're in a group and participating for business purposes, then you really want to pay attention to that. If you're in a group because it's for personal reasons, like that doesn't matter, right? Like I'm talking about when you are being focused in your social media interaction and representing your business. I want you to show up as an authentic person, be a real person, but choose your interactions wisely. That's also going to help you save time. I don't know about you, but I could literally get sucked into Facebook all day if I let myself. It's just fun. You're trying to get to know people, but you want to be really focused and targeted. So you want to make sure when you're engaging on things that are within your area of expertise, that gives you that opportunity to show up and be seen as the expert. Provide really thoughtful, informative replies, ask good questions, engage the audience. And remember that the person whose post you're commenting on isn't the only one who's seeing that there are people who are watching those comments and seeing that interaction. And these are all opportunities for you to show up as an expert. Be sure you're using your one-of-a-kind message and you're speaking in a really relatable way that's going to get the attention of your ideal client. But once you have people's attention and you really start engaging, it's all of that's so important so that they don't have to do the hard work of trying to figure out what it is that you do. I sometimes in groups that I'm really, really active in, I will stray from that because people do know me and they know that I use Ecamm Live, for example. So I get sometimes asked questions about that. Or they know that I use Messenger bots and people might ask about that. I most of the time divert that because that's not in my area of expertise. But for the most part, when I show up and engage in groups, including the groups that go with paid programs that I'm in, I really try and keep my attention focused on how I can show up as a brand messaging coach, how I can show up and ask questions to help people further think about their own messaging and where that might be a struggle for them when they're trying to implement whatever it is they're implementing, right? So every time I engage, I want it to be really clear. Now, I don't say things like, hey, I'm a brand messaging coach and here's what I want to tell you. But when you show up and you interact with authority and with expertise, people are going to want to know more about you. So the second part of not hiding your expertise, the first part being like show up and engage inside your sphere of excellence, right? Inside your area of expertise, just really stay focused on that. Let's call it 90% of the time, right? When you do that, people are going to want to know more about you. They're like, wow, that was a really great question. I hadn't thought of that. Or wow, that was really insightful information. I hadn't thought of that. They're going to want to check you out. So make sure that your social media profile is optimized to help people get to where it is you want to go. And we'll talk about Facebook, but this applies to if you have a YouTube channel or Twitter, Instagram. Make sure that your profile gives people that information. Now, I'm going to go behind the scenes inside the messaging den later this afternoon. So if you're not already a member, come join us over in the messaging den. It's themessagingden.com or search for the messaging den right here on Facebook. And I'm going to go behind the scenes and show you exactly how I set up all my profiles and especially on Facebook. Because when you engage in groups with other people, it's as your personal profile. Now, Facebook has terms of service that does limit or restrict your ability to really use your personal profile for business. But there's a couple things that you can do to make it super duper easy. Because when you're engaging in groups, it's as your personal profile. And if people like what they see, you want to make sure that they can check you out, even if you're not friends, not Facebook friends, not connected. and get to where you want to go. My profiles drive you to my business page and to my group. You can have them drive to your freebie if you have a freebie. So you need to think about, what do you want people to know about you? But it better be really clear when someone goes to check you out what you do. Helen, I think, has asked this question. I don't think she's on today, but she's asked this question. And so I'm going to dive into this in the behind the scenes live in the messaging done this afternoon. But how frustrating it is when you're engaging with somebody in a group and you're like, wow, okay, they seem really knowledgeable. I want to know more about them. And then their profile is a dead end, right? And you don't know how to go get more information about them. Don't hide that expertise. I don't do a lot of business promotion. I do no business promotion really on my personal profile, on my personal Facebook, my personal Facebook profile, but people know exactly where I want them to go to engage with me and learn more about me. All right, Sierra's got a question. She says, so if you only focus on messaging in most of your interactions, do you avoid the get to know you kind of prompts in Facebook groups? Okay, that's an excellent question, Sierra. And hey, Janet, I see that you've joined live. Thank you so much for being here. I would say that 90% of my posts are focused on messaging related interactions, or where I can show up and provide some expertise in that way. About 10%, I would say, are the get to know you kinds of prompts. But I don't respond to every prompt in groups. I know in my group, I have prompts every day, right? Encouraging people to share their own expertise, questions about messaging, whatever that is, and I engage in those. But in other people's groups, I wouldn't say I engage every day on those, but I do engage where I feel like this is a great opportunity for people to see my personality or know a little bit more about me. And sometimes you can sort of weave in, sometimes subliminally, sometimes people do it. It's pretty outright, but you can sort of weave in a little bit of information about you or your clients. I love talking without naming names and without giving specifics, but I love sharing experiences and that my clients are having. So if there's a post and it's asking me to celebrate wins, right? A lot of groups do that. I do that in my group too. I might share what's going on with one of my clients, and that they're killing it. Or I might share that I've got, we've finished all the prep for an upcoming masterclass or whatever it is. So I look for those opportunities that still will attract the right people's attention. Hey, Cheryl, so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here live with me today. Sarah, does that answer your question? So again, I would say 90% of my interactions are focused on where I can show up as a messaging coach. 10% is so that you show up and you're a real honest person and you're engaging, right? Even in those groups where they're Facebook groups with paid programs that I'm a part of, and people are asking for advice or feedback on different things, even if I can contribute, I'm selective on what I contribute to outside of being seen as a messaging coach. In those, I also just want to be a good colleague in a community that's going through the same program. But I don't get into deep diving into things that aren't my area of expertise. Because the other thing about that is, look, when you're asking for feedback or support from people out there, you want to be conscious of who you're getting feedback from. Right? Like when I've got a question about something, and somebody wants to chime in and be helpful, I want to know that they know what they're talking about, which is another reason why you want to make sure people can easily find what your area of expertise is. If I've got somebody who's chiming in, on help with marketing funnel, and that marketing's not their thing, and it doesn't really look like they have their marketing funnel set up, maybe that their opinion means less to me than somebody who this is their zone of genius, right? This is their area of expertise. So you want to make that easy too, so people can further trust your feedback. Okay, Sierra, that helps you. Good. All right. So those are the two main points that I wanted to share with you today. I'm trying to keep my Facebook Live shorter for you guys and being really respectful of your time. So again, you want to make sure that you're always showing up as the expert, the thing you want to be known for, and choosing those engagement opportunities on social media. but you also want to make sure it is really easy for people to learn more about you when they're impressed by that interaction and engagement. So this afternoon, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be going live in the messaging den. I'm going to show you behind the scenes how I set up my profiles and some of the key points to look at to make it really easy for people to track down where you want them to go. So if you're not already a member of the messaging den, come on over and join us. It's themessagingden.com, or search for the messaging den right here on Facebook. And yes, Sierra. Sierra says yes. Non-designers love giving design advice. Then I have to show up and contradict everyone. Yes, so true. I mean, I know enough about design to be dangerous, and I really try and steer clear from those discussions because I'm not a designer, right? And it is so true. But think about that. For you, that is an opportunity to show up, right? We all get frustrated when we see that. We're like, that's terrible advice. Well, you can take that as an opportunity to interject yourself, and you don't want to bash people, but you want to find that way to show up with your expertise and give really good, solid guidance. And I also find those as really great opportunities for future content creation, whether it's a Facebook Live or a post, or if it's a group that I'm in that I'm allowed to do Facebook Lives there, I will pick it up as a topic in that group and deal with that. Not calling anybody out like, oh, so-and-so asked this and they got terrible advice, so let me tell you, like, let me give you a better answer. But you can use that. You can dispel myths. You can, create content for your audience that says, hey, you may have heard these things. Let me tell you why that's not going to work. Let me tell you instead what you want to pay attention to. And it really gives you that opportunity, right? To show up, be that expert, be the thought leader, and do it in a way that isn't attacking of anybody, but don't be afraid of dissenting opinion, right? Don't be afraid to say like, okay, yeah, but let me tell you why I disagree with that. Or here's what you might want to consider instead, and really position yourself. Okay. All right. So if you have any other questions, come join me in the messaging den for the discussion we're going to have this afternoon. Like I said, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern, I'll be jumping in there. And let me know in the comments below, do you feel like you show up as an expert every time you engage on social media? For business purposes, right? This is not like showing up to interact with your friends, but for business, do you show up as an expert? And are your social media profiles optimized for people to know exactly where they can get more information about you? And if not, come hop into the messaging den and we're going to talk about that more this afternoon. All right. In the meantime, don't settle for sounding like anybody else. Make sure you stand out, you get heard. Make your message roar. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.